This evening, first, political tensions mount. Vice President Dr. Bharrat Jagdeo firmly dismisses the idea of a partnership with presidential hopeful Azzurdeen Mohamed, while Jagdeo says his party doesn't need Mohamed, and the scathing accusations that follow. Plus, U.S. sanctions rock Guyana. 4 Guyanese, including a senior superintendent of the police force, faces U.S. sanctions for allegedly helping a major drug trafficking ring move cocaine from South America to Europe and the Caribbean. We'll unpack the explosive allegations and what they mean for Guyana's fight against narcotics. Also, new COVID-19 variant alert. A newly identified COVID-19 variant, NB181, sparks fresh concerns as the Ministry of Health urges caution. What symptoms to watch out for and how health authorities are responding to keep you safe. Meanwhile, car boom or bubble. With Guyana's car imports skyrocketing, GRA has launched a new PAL vehicle registration series just months after the PAK series. Vice President Jagdeo touts it as a sign of economic growth. But what's next for the country's road and infrastructure? Internationally, missile strikes in Kyiv. Russia launches a barrage of missiles and drone strikes in Kyiv, killing at least 4 and injuring 20, while Moscow says it's retaliating, and what this means for the war in Ukraine. All this and more coming up on Headline News Update. Stay tuned. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for June 6, 2025. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, the PPPC open arms policy might not extend to T. Mohamed. Wendell Jeffrey has more on the political exchange at the party's weekly press conference.
The PPP prides itself as a Big Tent party willing to include anyone who shows the desire and intent to aid with the party's focus and trajectory. However, that open-armed approach seems limited and exclusionary as it pertains to T. Mohamed. Yesterday, the PPPC's weekly press conference at the party's headquarters on Robb Street, I asked the party's General Secretary, Dr. Bharrat Jagdeo, if he would be willing to partner with Azzurdeen Mohamed in the upcoming elections. Azzurdeen Mohamed has formally announced his intention to become Guyana's next president. And when asked if he, Mohamed, would partner with the PPP, he said this.
It comes to making right decisions for the benefit of the country. On that road, he'll decide. But right now, we will not hold it
going into the election.
But till parliament.
If
It's a decision to benefit the people of this country. But
However, when pressed by Channel 2 Headline News on a possible T. Mohamed coalition, Bharrat Jagdeo seemed almost disdainful to even entertain such a possibility. First, he sought to dismiss T. Mohamed's political supporters, then proceeded to accuse Azzurdeen Mohamed of being a criminal.
Look at the people. Have you analyzed? I've been in politics. The Gino Rahman, Charles Sogrim. Gino Rahman is an old griper. All for 100 years he has been around. He used to be in Charm, etc. He's a shock force now for the Mohammeds. Charles Sogrim, who was at AFC dump, they dump him. This guy's been hanging around looking for money everywhere and everything else. All his life, nothing. Lied. He said I burned down some house he had and he had to apologize. I think some factory. Lying Charles Sogrim. He's the campaign manager. And the third one is like Ramaya. Ramaya has been going from one party to the next, etc. These are the campaign managers. And then the slack boxer from Essequibo Coast. I don't see him as important. He's just a criminal. The guy is a criminal, and because he falsified things. His whole war came about not because we are afraid of him. It's because he was sanctioned by the United States of America.
Jagdeo said that his party doesn't need Mohamed, and he re-emphasized the reality that the PPP doesn't need to win every vote.
I wish him well. The thing is that we don't need your people behave as though we have to get all 500,000 votes to win the elections. Of the people who voted, we honest 300,000 should be good enough. to win 60%. And you just need 51%, right?
Pressed further on the matter of a possible partnership with T. Mohamed, the former president and current vice president said,
Would the PPP accept the support or the partnership of Team Mohamed?
We are, as I said before, we're not arrogant, but we're confident that we will win the 2025 elections. We're confident about that. Yeah. So Nigel Liu said he will. Ask Nigel Liu about that. Nigel Liu wants to join him. Yes.
for Channel 2 Headline News, Wendell Jeffrey.
Thanks, Wendell. 4 Guyanese, including a senior police officer, have been sanctioned by the U.S. for alleged drug trafficking ties. Dale Jarvis has more on the high-profile case and the government's response.
4 Guyanese, including Senior Superintendent of Police and 2 Colombian nationals, have been sanctioned by the U.S. Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control for alleged involvement in a transnational drug trafficking network using Guyana as a key transit hub. Those sanctioned are 37-year-old Senior Superintendent of Police Himnat Saw, who recently served as the Region 1 Police Commander and was placed on administrative leave following the announcement. The others named are Georgetown businessman 40-year-old Paul Darby Jr., 43-year-old Mark Cromwell, also known as Demon, and 50-year-old Randolph Duncan. The Colombians are identified as Manuel Salazar Gutierrez and Yizan Andres Sanchez Varjo. The sanctions come amid increasing scrutiny over Guyana's role as a drug transshipment point from Colombia and Venezuela to the United States, Europe, and the Caribbean. OFAC cited widespread corruption, illegal airstrips, and the use of narco submarines as facilitating factors in the trafficking operations. The move follows a major cocaine seizure in August 2024 in Matthews Ridge Region 1, where over 4 tons of cocaine, worth US $188 million, were found buried near an illegal airstrip. Saw was reportedly linked to the bus and subsequently transferred from his command post. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Home Affairs, in a statement yesterday, said it welcomed U.S. sanctions imposed by the Office of Foreign Assets Control on several individuals, including Senior Superintendent Himnat Saw, for their alleged involvement in drug trafficking through Guyana. The statement noted that Saw has been placed on administrative leave by the Police Service Commission to facilitate further investigation. The government of Guyana will request detailed information from U.S. authorities to guide its response. Reaffirming its commitment to fighting drug trafficking, the government pledged continued cooperation with the U.S., citing the joint seizure of 4.4 metric tons of cocaine in September 2024 as a key example of collaborative success. Reporting for Headline News Update, Dale Jarvis.
Thanks, Dale. The U.S. Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, has revealed new details behind its decision to sanction 4 Guyanese nationals and 2 Colombians for their role in trafficking large quantities of cocaine from South America to the United States, Europe, and the Caribbean. Sanctioned Guyanese businessman Paul Darby Jr. and Randolph Duncan were identified as operators of the largest drug trafficking network in Guyana. According to OFAC, they used aircraft and maritime vessels, including shipping containers and illegal airstrips, to transport drugs and allegedly bribe local officials to facilitate their operations. Darby Jr. is also accused of smuggling illegal gold, while Duncan trafficked drugs to Africa, Europe, and the U.S. Mark Cromwell, a former police officer wanted in connection with a 2024 abduction case, was described as a violent trafficker and associate of Darby. Senior Superintendent of Police Himnat Saw was accused of enabling safe passage for drug traffickers in Region 1. He has since been placed on administrative leave. The 2 sanctioned Colombian nationals, Yizan Andres Sanchez Varjo and Manuel Salazar Gutierrez, reportedly managed covert airstrips used to fly cocaine into Guyana. The sanctions follow major U.S. Guyanese joint enforcement actions, including a 4.4-ton cocaine bust in August of 2024 and a semi-submersible seizure off Guyana's coast in March of 2024. U.S. authorities also intercepted a cocaine-laden cargo ship from Guyana in Trinidad and Tobago earlier this year, with packages linked to the Sinaloa cartel. The sanctions aim to disrupt transnational drug networks. All U.S. assets of the sanctioned individuals are frozen, and Americans are barred from engaging with them. The Treasury Department emphasized continued collaboration with Guyana and other agencies to combat the global drug trade and dismantle cartel-linked operations. Stick around when we return. Guyana and China celebrate 53 years of diplomatic relations, and GRA launches new PAL vehicle series as Jagdeo touts economic growth.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Middle Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Health is calling on the public to exercise increased caution following the World Health Organization's recent advisory on a newly identified COVID-19 strain, NB181, classified as a variant under monitoring. This strain has been linked to a global uptick in COVID-19 cases, including in the Caribbean region. The ministry warns that symptoms of the variant may vary, but commonly includes cough, sore throat, nasal congestion, fever, chills, headache, fatigue, shortness of breath, diarrhea, and less frequently, loss of taste or smell. The Ministry of Health is urging citizens to continue practicing proper hygiene, washing their hands regularly, and seeking immediate testing and medical attention if they experience symptoms or have been exposed to COVID-19. Authorities say they are closely monitoring the situation in collaboration with international and regional partners and will provide updates as new information emerges. On a different note, the Ghana Revenue Authority has launched the new PAL vehicle registration series just 3 months after rolling out the PAK series, a sign of rising vehicle imports and, according to Vice President Dr. Bharrat Jagdeo, growing economic prosperity. Speaking at a press conference on Thursday, Dr. Jagdeo stated that the rapid registration of nearly 10,000 vehicles since February reflects an increase in asset ownership among ordinary Guyanese. He pointed to the development as proof of expanding opportunities under the current administration.
If this is not a sign of prosperity or progress, nothing is, because not all of these vehicles would come in for wealthy people. A lot of ordinary Guyanese are acquiring more assets.
With more vehicles entering the country, Jagdeo emphasized the urgency of upgrading the transportation infrastructure, including road expansion and major projects such as the 4-lane highway from Molson Creek to the Chedichagan International Airport.
We would have had 10,000 vehicles in the country, maybe much more now. It's just 3 months of this year. I shudder to think about how many more will be in before the end of the year. If this trend holds and 10,000 vehicles come in 3 months, you're talking about 40,000 vehicles per year. If we don't expand the infrastructure of the country to accommodate this, every one of you will be frustrated, like I am sometimes, and I have siren.
Jagdeo also defended the government's infrastructure spending, noting that only 37% of the national budget is derived from oil reserves. Nevertheless, the vice president said his administration will continue to invest in infrastructure to modernize Guyana. He noted that future upgrades will also be done at the airport as Guyana is becoming a hub.
We are committed to expanding the infrastructure of the country, modernizing it. We are going to expand the airport, a new terminal, you know that already, because the flights coming in and the numbers of people transiting our airport has grown immeasurably. So we need to expand the airport. You just saw KLM return to Guyana after a very long period. I think earlier this week they returned. And that's such a great addition to the number of flights that we already have, because it gives you a direct link, a direct flight into Europe, which is a major thing. Now, if we have to go to Europe, we have to go to the US, then fly to Europe. Europe offers us a new transit point for Africa, for Asia, for any part of the world, actually, or the Middle East. You can easily go there and then fly on to those destinations. And so Guyana is becoming a hub, and we will promote that even in a greater way.
In other news, the Chinese embassy in Guyana hosted a reception on Thursday at the Marriott Hotel in Kingston to mark the 53rd anniversary of diplomatic ties between China and Guyana. The event highlighted the enduring partnership and growing cooperation between the two nations. President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan, delivering the feature address, reaffirmed Guyana's commitment to democracy, peace, and respect for sovereignty, while expressing appreciation for China's support in national development.
Over the past 53 years, our relationship has blossomed into a respectful and multifaceted partnership, grounded in mutual trust, shared values, and economic cooperation. Central to this relationship is Guyana's consistent respect to the One China policy, a foundational pillar of our diplomatic engagement. Our relations are not born solely of strategic interests, but also of deep ties of blood and history. The Chinese community in Guyana has for over 170 years contributed significantly to our cultural diversity, our commerce, and our national development. These enduring people-to-people connections have enriched our society and continue to serve as a bridge between our two nations.
President Ali also underscored discussions with China's new ambassador, Yang on upholding regional peace and territorial integrity. He said Guyana looks forward to continued partnership with China.
Let me once again express, on behalf of the government and people of Guyana, our heartfelt appreciation to the government and people of the People's Republic of China for their friendship and continued support to our national development. As we celebrate this 53rd anniversary, we do so not merely in remembrance of the past, but with great hope for the future. Hope for a stronger relationship, hope for a stronger partnership, and hope for a future that is bright for all of humanity.
Ambassador Yang, officially introduced at the event, applauded Guyana as China's first English-speaking Caribbean partner and pledged continued collaboration across traditional and emerging sectors, including agriculture, infrastructure, digital technology, and green development. In 2024, Chinese investment in Guyana reached 10.6 billion US dollars in bilateral trade, totaling 1.4 billion US dollars, quadrupling since 2019. Key Chinese supported projects include the new Demerara River Bridge, regional hospitals, and the expansion of the Chanichakan International Airport. Both leaders reiterated their commitment to multilateralism and international law, vowing to deepen cooperation for mutual benefit. Don't go away after the break. Haiti food crisis, gang violence, and economic collapse are to be blamed. And Russia targets Kyiv. Moscow says strikes are a response to terrorist attacks.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from modern optical services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. Venezuela has criticized Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, for her reaction to claims that criminals from Trinidad and Tobago infiltrated Venezuela. Venezuela's government says it has captured criminals from Trinidad with evidence of their plans and expected cooperation rather than confrontation. They accused Persad-Bissessar of geopolitical games and warned her response could harm bilateral relations. Venezuela reaffirmed its commitment to peace and diplomatic solutions, urging dialogue over tension. On Monday, travelers from 12 countries will be barred from entering the United States as part of President Donald Trump's travel ban. Among them will be people from Haiti. It's a country ravaged by gang violence, which in turn has been fueling one of the world's worst hunger crises. Al Jazeera's Teresa Bo reports.
Josephine Raymond and her family are finding it difficult to eat every day. She lives in Cité Soleil, a densely populated slum in Haiti's capital Port-au-Prince, where the violence that has taken over the country is having a big impact on the population.
It's so difficult for me because the violence that is everywhere. I used to be able to go places to find some work or sell something, but now I cannot because I am afraid. Haiti has become like hell for everyone.
The World Food Programme says almost 6 million people in Haiti is facing acute hunger as gangs continue to extend their control over the country. Hundreds of thousands have been displaced by the violence. The United Nations Food Programme says it has scaled up operations, reaching over 1 million people in the past year. In this school in the Del Mas district, the World Food Programme tries to guarantee children will get at least one meal a day. But humanitarian workers like Pedro Enrique Rodriguez say funding is a main concern.
In order to continue providing this critical help to the population, we need additional funds. Right now the needs are increasing very fast. In Haiti we have over 1 million people displaced by violence right now, and we need to continue providing assistance at scale to prevent the country from collapsing.
The United Nations is in desperate need of funds to finance its programs in Haiti, including what is known as the Multinational Security Support Mission led by Kenya that is assisting the police in the fight against gangs.
Our humanitarian response plan for this year calls for about $908 million. So far, it's only received 7.7% of the funding needed, which is about $76 million.
And there's also growing concerns about the impact the Trump administration's budget cuts will have on the operations here. People in Haiti are struggling with extreme poverty and violence. Hunger is everywhere. For now, international assistance is the only lifeline these people have. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera.
The world's richest man and its most powerful politician seems to be going through a very public online breakup. After a fallout over fiscal policy, Elon Musk now says US President Donald Trump is being ungrateful because it was Musk who got Trump into the Oval Office. Trump's responding by threatening Musk's government contracts. Al Jazeera's Rosalind Jordan reports.
But Chancellor, I just want to congratulate you, and I want
U.S. President Donald Trump has never held his tongue about those he thinks are trying to undermine him. On Thursday, Elon Musk was Trump's target.
All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars, and it really is unfair.
Musk recently called Trump's proposed federal budget a recipe for economic disaster. He denies being mad that the bill would cut subsidies for electric vehicles, subsidies which had helped his company Tesla flourish. The men's backbiting on social media then exploded. Trump called Musk crazy during his last few weeks as the head of DOGE, the agency-cutting federal worker firing operation. Musk responded with no evidence. The FBI hasn't released all the files on the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein because there's information about the president in them.
And liftoff. Go SpaceX, go Starlink.
Now Trump is threatening to cancel Musk's federal contracts, some $3 billion worth.
Come on up here, Elon.
Musk also wants Trump impeached, and Trump advisor Steve Bannon wants Musk to lose his U.S. citizenship and be deported to South Africa. All this is a far cry from 2024 when Musk endorsed Trump and early 2025 when Musk ran DOGE. While social media revels in what it's calling the ultimate battle royale, one analyst says the Trump-Musk breakup is the latest example of how Trump treats his political partners.
Donald Trump has always derived profound pleasure, you could even say it gets him out of bed in the morning, by raising up these allies so he can tear them down.
Well, Mr. President, they say I wear a lot of hats.
But as of right now, Elon Musk has made a permanent mark on Donald Trump's presidency. DOGE is still up and running, and its temporary workers are being hired full-time by the federal government. Rosalind Jordan, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Russia has launched a series of missile and drones strikes on Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, killing at least 4 people and injuring 20 others. This is according to the city mayor. Russian government says the attacks are a response to what it calls terrorist acts on its territory. Al Jazeera's Charles Stratford reports.
Air raid sirens blaring across the Ukrainian capital. Kyiv's air defense units fire into the night sky. The terrifying sound as a drone approaches and explodes. Ukraine's military says it shot down the majority of the more than 450 drones and missiles. But debris from some of the interceptions slammed into residential buildings and civilian infrastructure.
We were at the underground parking when we heard a strong explosion. People ran out to see what happened. The firefighters and an ambulance arrived. Then missiles started coming. Thanks God, our firefighters, even under such conditions, were helping people. At my apartment, all the windows were blown out. It's horrible.
Russia also targeted the cities of Lutsk and Ternopil in the west of Ukraine. And while Russia attacked, Ukraine did the same. The Ukrainian military said it hit fuel depots at a Russian airbase in the Saratov region, around 600 kilometers across the border. The attacks come just days after Ukraine launched a wave of drone strikes deep inside Russia, destroying what the Ukrainian authorities say were around 40 Russian aircraft. Russian President Vladimir Putin vowed to respond with virtually no sign of progress after 2 rounds of peace talks in Istanbul. Last night's bombardment was one of the most intense in recent weeks. John Stratford, Al Jazeera, Kyiv.
This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's FTV2 Headline News for this Friday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. We will be off for the weekend, but you can tune in on Monday at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other and do have a wonderful weekend.